And it is Football Friday, powered by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Welcome back in, everybody. CT Steckel hanging out with Ashley Pickle for the next 2 hours as we take you to the top. That would be High School Scoreboard live at 11 o'clock. Now, look, sit back and relax and just kind of dial in with us, because it's one of those days in the Lone Star State where the weather is having an effect. And when it does, that means some games kick off late, some kicked off early, some are playing right now, and some don't know when they are going to play. But we are going to bring you highlights, interviews, and analysis until 1 a.m., and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Let's go. Let's roll.
This is what it's all about. Good teams priming for the postseason. What does that mean? Some games are for district titles. Others are just playing games. But one team, Lubbock Roosevelt and Littlefield, yeah, they are playing to go to the postseason. And here we go. Second half. It's been all Roosevelt. Quarterback Nathan Caceres on the keeper with a huge touchdown run. Watch him change arms, tuck it to the left side, and he will find the end zone in for 6. And oh yeah, help him up. Dude is tired after that one. Now, later in the third quarter, it's Caceres again, this time from just a yard out with another score. So the Eagles are just simply pouring it on in this one. There you see it, Lubbock Roosevelt all over Littlefield, 42-14, just 3-6 on the year, 1-3, but try to get to the postseason. Where is Littlefield, you're asking me? There they are, way up there, the Panhandle, beautiful place, the birthplace of Waylon Jennings. Did you know that?
I did not, but I do now.
We are learning all kinds of things. Television's Paige Schnorbach is joining us now live on the television. I'm watching this game, Paige, and I'm thinking to myself, this quarterback, Nathan Caceres, he's a pretty good player. What are you seeing out of his performance tonight? How would you assess the play of this young player?
Well, first, CT, I just love any night that I get to talk to you this much. But yes, Nate Caceres for Roosevelt. He's just a sophomore, and he's been so incredible to watch tonight. 4 touchdowns from him, 3 rushing, 1 through the air. When I talked to his coach this week, Coach Lander said, you know, the first 2 games of the season with him were a little shaky. You could tell he was nervous. He knew that he had big shoes to fill following Alex Trevino last year, but he really has progressed so much through this season, studying hard, learning to read the option. And Coach said one of his strongest attributes right now is just how smart he is on the field. He said he's gotten to the point where Nate's able to see things that Coach isn't and question the play, and they'll talk about it. And he said to have that in his sophomore quarterback is just so amazing. And you're seeing that, the proof in the pudding tonight at 4 touchdowns from him. And again, a sophomore who's now about to take them into the playoffs next week.
And Paige, one of my favorite things about Week 11 is basically these games, the ones that you know you've got to win this to get into the playoffs. So you can almost throw everything else away, and that seems to be what Roosevelt's done tonight. It doesn't matter necessarily when you do it, but when you get hot at a moment like this, that's all that matters, right?
Ashley, you're absolutely right. And the whole Roosevelt team is kind of reflective of just what I talked about with Nate Caceres. It's a very young team. They started out a little rough. They had a lot of guys that were learning new roles, and they had to, you know, kind of adjust and learn a new offense and what they were doing. And so the first half of the season, a little bit shakier. And as you heard Coach talk in his halftime interview, he said, you know, a problem we've had this year has been just finishing games. But they've gotten closer. Last week, they lost by only 1 point in a very close game. And here tonight, kind of all the puzzle pieces have come together. Their offense has been clicking incredibly well. They've shown great poise on the ground, but with also 1 passing touchdown, which they don't do very often. And their defense has been incredibly aggressive and done exactly what they want them to do. And so here they are putting it all together the week before they go into playoffs. And I would think if you ask any coach, playoff time is really when you want your team to be peaking like this.
Paige Schnorbach, always good to talk with you. We will catch up with you as this one goes final for some interviews and analysis. And Ashley, when you look at this team, they lose 3 to start the year. Then they win 3 in the middle half. Now they've lost 3 in a row, but coming into this contest, you put all that aside because you know you got 1 game to play and you punch your ticket to the postseason. What has impressed you most about what Matt Landers and his team have been able to accomplish here tonight?
I think it's the fact that you're able to collect yourself. When you see that, when you start 0-3, you're able to get down. Clearly, in the middle of the season, something started to click, something started to pick back up. But to then lose 3 again and be able to come back and do this, this shows a team that made it to the state semifinals last year. And I know they graduated a ton of seniors. I'm not taking anything away from that. But what you start to hope is those younger kids that were on that team, that were able to experience it, maybe even just some freshmen or JV players that got, bumped up on the roster a little bit during playoffs and got to sit there and just take that all in. They recognize the significance of this game tonight. It's a district game, one, but it's a district game that either you are doing this and you're going to go on to the playoffs or you're blowing up basketballs the next day. So I think that what you're seeing is the observation that those younger kids made early on and, late into that run last year really start to come into fruition, and it shows that Matt Landers has a squad that believes in what he's telling them to do.
Yeah, you only returned 6 starters from a team who made a deep run a year ago, and so normally in these games you rely on that senior leadership or those big players who've been there in those big moments. This team is young, and they're proving tonight that under pressure at the highest level, they can no doubt perform. All right, break time here on Football Friday, powered by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Welcome back in, everybody. CT Steckel hanging out with Ashley Pickle, Wiley, and Cooper. The Story and Abilene playing for a district title. These two teams, not always the teams we talk about out there in Abilene, but tonight, oh, yes, we are.
Yeah, and how weird seeing them 3A,
Right.
That seems like so long ago. Both 5A Division II teams and back in the same district. Let's take you out to Hugh Sandifer Stadium to see what's happening out there in the big country. We're going to start off in the second half. Cooper, quarterback Chris Warren, he's going to take it, reach his way in, and the Cougars will grab that one. Later, Warren scrambling, trying to make something happen. Here he goes. He's going to put that up in the air. Picked off by Wiley's Hayden Wright. Then the Bulldogs capitalize. Huge pass coming in right there. KJ Long, Derek Evans. He is in no man's land all the way down to the end zone. Then Cooper trying to respond, but Warren's pass is up. Can he get it? No, intercepted again, this time in the back of the end zone. How about that for the Wiley Bulldogs? Couple of big defensive plays leaves our score there 20-10 in the third quarter. Where's Abilene? It's in the beautiful big country right there, Taylor County. 31 playoff appearances for Abilene Wiley. They are going for another one here as we welcome in Sarah Merrifield. Sarah, Wiley, we saw a lot of defense there. We'll get to that in a minute. But Wiley's quarterback, KJ Long, a senior but in his first year starting. I mean, this kid looks to have the juice right now.
He really does, and I got to give this kid credit because he knows he's not the biggest kid out there on the field. He's only 5'8", $155, but this guy has the confidence, and it just exudes on the offense. And what he's been able to do out on the field, Wiley just scored again. So we're going to just rack up the points here for Wiley. I think they're on a roll here to finish this one out as district champs. But for KJ Long, this guy has all the confidence in the world. And one of the things we've seen him do well tonight is throw incredibly well in the pocket. He's hit all of his targets with a ton of accuracy. And he's also one of the guys that leads the district in passing yards. So, really effective. And in his first year, it's really impressive to see what he's been able to do. He served that backup role last year, learned a lot. And, there's some bumps always early on when you start a new role and have that kind of new pressure of the starting quarterback role. But he's really come into his own and proven himself out here on the field.
Sarah, Cooper's Cam Herron is a wide receiver who can do it all. How have you seen him try to attack this Wiley defense tonight?
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting because, again, preparing for this game, Cam Herron was one of those guys, and he stands out by the numbers because he is tied for first in district with the most points scored. Now, tonight, the Wiley defense has been able to limit him incredibly well. They are reducing his ability to get the ball. And, of course, one of the goals for Wiley early on was limit the big plays because they know how explosive and talented Cam Herron and his wide receivers can be. So, for tonight, it's been a really big challenge for Cooper to be able to connect in the air to players like Cam Herron and even get really momentum going in the air. So for Wiley to be able to stop those big playmakers like Herron, that's definitely huge, and they've been able to execute on that side of the ball incredibly well. We heard Coach Martin say how they wanted more execution on the offensive side. We've seen a little bit of that in the fourth quarter, and then of course the defense just continues to rack up those great plays, including 2 interceptions and in big time moments. So for Wiley, they've definitely proven a little bit more successful in this game tonight, but that doesn't take away from the fact that both of these two teams are well matched, well balanced, and very talented in their respective regards.
Sarah Merrifield, ever the professional. She didn't miss a beat as the foghorn went off in her ear. We'll check back with you more, and we'll tell you why it went off. It's because Hayden Wright came up with his third INT in the easy. That's unbelievable. How do you do that? I mean, that's the stuff of legends in a game like this. His third pick of the contest. And oh my gosh, the Bulldogs are getting it done. This is another team who's kind of had tales of different seasons. They win a couple games to start, go on a tough losing streak. Now they're winning football games again. It seems to me like they've kind of found that moxie and that confidence and that mojo. And it begins with a defense who can force turnovers, because when you do that, you change the momentum of a game. You flip the field position. That's been the recipe for success tonight.
It has. And big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And that's what you're seeing. I mean, Hayden Wright has been the pinnacle of what this defense is all about. And it's funny because you talk to Clay Martin and you ask him, you know, when your team is playing good, you mentioned they started off really good, got into a little bit of a midseason rut, and now it looks like tonight they're definitely playing the best ball that they have all year. You ask him, what makes this team? What do you hang your hat on? And it is playing fast, organized defense. He said going into this game tonight that they knew that they had to stop the explosive plays. That was what was going to beat them. If they allowed any explosive plays, that was going to wear them down, because their defense is fast, it's frantic, it gets you moving, and it makes it hard for an offense to move the ball on them. But every now and then teams can get over the top of them, and that's where you see that midseason lull that they had. People were just finding the weak spots in the backfield. But tonight, Hayden Wright said, guys, we're going to just lock this down. Don't worry, I've got it. Might as well put that kid over at receiver at this point with the hands he's shown tonight.
Yeah, great defenses, force turnovers. Sometimes you give up yardage. You keep everything in front of you. These two teams are good at football. They're mentally tough. They're prepared every single week. They're physically tough. Coming into this contest, what was the thing you were looking for most?
I honestly was looking at how dominant I thought Holly was going to be. I'll call my own foul here. We'll get to the highlights in a minute, but I was very, very, very curious as to if Holly, we haven't really seen them separate themselves against a very, very good opponent. We knew this was going to be the toughest test that they had had thus far. 2A Division I is one of my all-time favorite classifications because there is good football everywhere, and Holly's one of those teams. We don't talk a whole lot about them during the regular season because we know for a fact we're going to be talking about them really late on into the playoffs. So you're going, okay, how are they going to match up? This is a super tasty matchup, one that we haven't seen between these two teams in a little bit, and it's really developed into a really, really good rivalry. How was Cisco going to be able to respond to that, to the pressure of going up against a team that has that playoff pedigree?
Setting the table for the people. That's what we're doing before we get to Forest Field and Holly, and a highlight that you are not going to want to miss between these two teams who are excited for a win tonight. Pick it up with Rhodey Hooper to Chandlin Myers on the TD pass for Holly. What a snag. He got two hands underneath that. Bearcats down, though, 26-22. Holly backed up now. The snap is going to go through Hooper's hands. Cisco recovers in the end zone. We said it. Turnovers kill you in the game of football. 33-22 Cisco at that point, but the Bearcats respond. Hooper finds Will Scott sliding into the end zone for the catch. Bearcats would go for two and get it. 33-30 at that point, so that's where we stand. The Lobos, 33-30 in the fourth quarter, but Holly is driving in this one, so we got a great contest here going back and forth. Playmakers all over the field. We've seen it tonight. Turnovers having an effect on these games, Ashley. You can expect that, though. When you're playing in conditions where you've got maybe a sloppy football or wet fields, mud, precipitation, you're going to get that sometimes. The throws don't come out like you want. The ball goes over the quarterback's head. The snaps aren't executed that way. But your takeaway after seeing this highlight now between these two teams, what will be the difference here down the stretch?
I think it's the Cisco defense. This is a Cisco defense that has been playing lights out as of late. This is a team that really relies on that defense. They have the guy at quarterback in Hunter Long. Tepper said it earlier. He's been here for 5 years now. I mean, as long as I've been at Dave Campbell's, Hunter Long has always been the quarterback at Cisco there. So he knows what he's doing. He really took his team and was able to make a huge impact in the first half. But this is what Hawley is capable. They can beat you in a number of different ways. When you take a look at Hawley's offensive line, they're as good as anyone in 2A Division I. There's some big guys. They're able to create those holes. And then they also have people like Casey Shields on the outside. They have a really, really good defense. But I am very curious to see how Cisco's defense can hold up, because this is definitely the most that they've been tested with a team like Hawley that can beat you in so many different ways on the field.
Hawley, 4 straight seasons with the district championship. Of course, a 24-game regular season winning streak on the line in this one. But you talk about this quarterback, Roddy Hooper, the adversity he faced there. You saw it. Snap goes over his head. He doesn't get on the ball to score, but comes right back down the field. He's got a lot of poise and a lot of these characteristics that you want to see in a great quarterback in those moments. What impresses you most about his play and kind of his characteristics on the football field?
So I was able to see him play 2 times in person last year. I saw him play in the state semifinal against Marlin, where they absolutely whooped up on a team that we were very shocked by. And then I saw the other side of it when they played in the state championship against Shiner. And 2 very different sample sizes, but through both of those games, whether they were dominating someone like Marlin or whether they were kind of getting their butt kicked by Shiner, you were able to see that Rhodey was calm, cool, and collected. I think that he trusts that offensive line. I just got done talking about how unbelievable that front is for Hawley on the offensive side of the ball, and he knows he can trust those guys. He has time to step back in the pocket, and he's great at making decisions when he needs to, because he's got the wheels to turn it on if he needs to get outside. He's got the capability of running backs that he can hand it off to, and he's got guys like Casey Shields on the outside that if he needs to drop a deep pass, he can, and that's not something you see down in that classification too often.
You certainly don't. Okay, let's reset it for you. When we left the highlights, Cisco was up 33-30, but Hawley got the ball back, and they are driving. They are into the red zone. 14 seconds now left in this ball game, and there you see the quick slant down to about the 2-3 yard line. So with no real time left in this game, a meager 10, maybe 11 seconds left, Cisco clinging to a 3-point lead, 33-30 over the Bearcats, and that's what we love about Football Friday, powered by Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're basically a red zone channel for you when it comes to the Lone Star State and Texas high school football, and you know what that means. As soon as there's a scoring play or maybe a goal line stand, we're going to take you back out there and show you that play. But you got to have a lot of faith in your quarterback in these moments, in a 2-minute situation to take your team down the field, and they are driving with a chance to win it. This is what it's all about. These are the moments.
It is. It's for the district championship, too. I mean, that's what you're trying to solidify here. And when you talk to coaches about what that means, it's the first stepping stone in that route now to AT&T Stadium. You divide it into 3 different seasons. You have the non-district, you have district. You want to grab and hold that gold ball, lift it up at the end of the night, and then you want to go into playoffs. But what I love here is that this could really set the tone for Region 1 as a whole in 2A Division 1. We spend a lot of time focusing on the right-hand side of the bracket because you have Timpson over in Region 3. You have Shiner Refugio down in Region 4. When we looked at the left side of the bracket, there's a lot of really, really good teams, but not those teams like a Shiner, like a Refugio that we just expect to run away with it every year. So the left side of the bracket's almost even more fun because you don't necessarily know who can come out of it. But Hawley was probably the favorite. I think if you looked back at our preseason rankings or anything like that, you're going to see them ranked a lot higher than anybody else. And this is Cisco saying, hey, not only could we grab this district championship, on top of that, we could solidify ourselves as the front runner in the entire left side of the bracket. And that's something that's exciting. It's fun. You know, there's so much more implications that go on for this rather than just that district title, although you have to cross that box off first.
No doubt about it. You got to check that box first. Back to Forest Field, we take you. Roddy Hooper, of course, is the man with the football in his hands, out of the gun, looking towards the end zone, and there is a flag on the field. In fact, there's multiples That's PI, pass interference, and so that means that it's going to be a goal-to-goal situation with 8 seconds left now for this team in Holly to try to win the football game. And it's an interesting dynamic because you're going to be right there on the 1-yard line and you're saying to yourself, do we take over and have a chance to let our offensive line win this game up front? Do we snap it out of shotgun 5 or 6 yards back when you know that's what you have to do to get across the goal line? Do you think about running one play and then potentially kicking a game-winning field goal? This is why the head coaches in those situations have all the pressure on them. And guess what? This is why it's Football Friday. We are back to Freedom Field, and we are going to take you there, to Forest Field, excuse me.
I'm excited.
And we are going to see how this game unfolds. He drops, and he throws, and he's into the end zone. That is what you call clutch performance by Rody Hooper to Will Scott, and that is going to be your ball game. Holly is going to win the district title. They are now up 36-33, barring an absolute miracle that might happen after an extra point conversion. Oh my goodness, was that fun to watch
Let's
unfold.
go. This is what Football Friday's all about, baby.
It's exactly right. And who has the best seat in the house? Travis Buckner, that's who, live and in person at this one. And oh, Travis, what a great contest. Back and forth, some really good moments in the game, some teams battling back from adversity. That's what you have to do in these contests. But you look at this game and you talk to yourself about the matchup and what these two teams brought to the table. But let's just talk about the last, if you will, drive. What did you see there out of Holly? What did you see out of this quarterback? You had a bird's eye view for it. Take us inside the moment.
Yeah, you know, coming into this game, there was a lot of hype surrounding Cisco's quarterback, Hunter Long, and he's had a great game, but, you know, Rody Hooper just didn't get enough credit coming into this game, I don't think. He really took over this last drive. You know, there was less than 2 minutes on the clock when he got the ball back, and he led them all the way down the field, just showed a ton of resiliency, a ton of composure back there in the pocket. 3 seconds left in the game, and he throws the touchdown to give them the 3-point lead, 36-33. This is Holly's first lead of the game, and I've got to just give so much credit to how much they have fought this entire second half, because in the first half there wasn't much offense coming from the Bearcats, but they really found something coming out of halftime. They made some kind of changes in halftime, and the offense has obviously come out guns a-blazing here in the second half.
Oh, here we go, man. We're watching that. Travis, what's happening there behind you? It looks like Cisco throwing stuff all around like crazy, trying to get that last play to go. They're going to continue to
I think the
go.
Stanford band might be coming onto the field here in a moment.
Exactly. There it is, though, the ball up in the air, and that's going to be the end of it as they try to keep the laterals alive in that moment. Travis, great job out there. Hope you enjoyed this one. How could you not? We will check back with you for interviews and analysis as they roll in. So you give all the credit to them. Their first lead of the game comes with just 8 seconds left in the contest. Rody Hooper, to have the ability and the poise and the presence in that moment to stay in it, find an open receiver there. This is a team now with this type of a victory that I think could really make a deep run.
Well, and the crazy part about that call there, we asked, you know, you were right in the middle of asking me, what do you do? And we flash back to it. But Will Scott, who caught that touchdown, that's their leading linebacker. You want to talk about the beauty of 2A football?
Gotta
The
love it.
linebacker says, 8 seconds left, I got you, don't worry. But, I mean, unbelievable, exceptional performance by Holly, but what a performance by that defense. When you get down like that at Cisco, and they're clearly showing that offense is moving, to sit there and say, hey, defense, hold us in it. I promise you we're going to start scoring. And that's exactly what they did. An unbelievable performance there by Holly. And this one lived up to everything that we hoped that it would.
Yeah, congratulations to the Bearcats. What a phenomenal game. So fun here on Football Friday to bring it to you. That's what we're all about. We do it for 6 hours every single Friday night.
Shout out to Montgomery, Texas. Brenham taking on Montgomery Lake Creek. Third quarter, Brenham trails 26-19. Quarterback Rylan Wooten, he's going to throw that one up. Reed Robinson, oh, what a catch on that one. Able to haul that one in. Touchdown. Brenham trails 26-25. Fourth quarter now. Lake Creek trailing. Cade Tesser throwing it deep to his wide receiver, who will take it all the way in. Lake Creek now leads 47-42. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Running back Tavion Bars, he's going to score there on the 7-yard rushing touchdown, and that brings our final in District 10 5A Division II to 54-42. Montgomery Lake Creek taking home the dub. And Shelby Coppage is there with the head coach of the Lions, Pat Kennedy.
Coach Kennedy, District 5A champs, did your team feel any pressure coming into tonight's game?
I don't think we felt pressure. I thought if we play the way we're supposed to, we should be very, very successful. We had a lot of mistakes tonight, a lot of things we got to clean up. But our kids, when they don't make mistakes, we're hard to beat.
But bouncing back from those mistakes, how important was that response from your team?
It shows resiliency, the things that they learn in the offseason and things we go through all year. The resiliency, I couldn't be happier for these kids.
You said this week your goal was to slow Brenham's offense down. However, they scored over 40 points as well. What kind of challenge did they give your defense?
A quarterback is difference maker. The receiver is really good. We slowed them down enough. I don't think they scored in the last 9 minutes. So I think that was probably the difference.
And Tyvon Byers had multiple touchdowns, including an 80-yard run. How impactful was his run game to spread out to your offense tonight?
Tyvon's special, and I don't know. He probably had 300 yards rushing and another 5 touchdowns, but he's a difference maker.
Congrats, Coach.
Thank you.
The Lions are good at football. Coming into this contest, they were just simply dominating opponents. Over the last 3 weeks, giving up like less than 10 points a game, outscoring their opponents 50, 60, 70 points on the board. They've proven they can play offensive football and they can play defensive football. And tonight they had to do it in all 3 phases of the game. They won up front, they won in the kicking game, and this is a team now at 10-0, 8-0 overall. They really believe deep down inside that they can make a run at it. What did you see out of their performance tonight?
I love this offense. I really do. We've seen them put up astronomical numbers week in and week out, but this was their real test. How were they able to do this down in week 11, knowing the playoffs are right there, knowing the district championship is on the line? I think between Tyvon Byers and their quarterback, Cade Tedesser, this is dynamic. They've got the 1-2 punch that they need back there. And, Byers is he's only a sophomore. This kid is young, but he is dynamic. They knew last year, coming into this year, that he could really start putting in some FBS potential, and he shows that tonight, and especially in a game like this where you need your workhorse to do that. And Brenham has a good defense, too. So to be able to open up those holes on the offensive line, played really, really well, but an exceptional running performance that will really be able to carry them through the playoffs, because guess what? Running backs are going to keep going no matter what.
Yeah, you got to pound the rock. You got to have somebody you can believe in, especially late in ball games when maybe you get in a close contest and you have to finish a team off at the line of scrimmage. 6-0 for the Lions this year to win the district title. So there it is. You're looking at it. Class 5A, Division II, Region 3. What will the bi-district matchups be? Well, Montgomery Lake Creek taking on Texas City. A 6-4 team. Brennan will take on Dayton. So what do you see in that matchup there between Lake Creek and Texas City? Obviously, all the momentum in the world with the Lions in this one.
Oh, fantastic. That's going to be a fun one. Texas City is another one of those teams that started off the year really, really hot, and then they kind of died off when they got to district play. So if I know anything about Texas City, it's the fact that they have the weapons that they need to be able to compete. But I am slightly concerned, much like tonight, if that Texas City defense is going to be enough to put a hurting on this Montgomery Lake Creek offense. If they play the way they did tonight, that defense is going to have to be locked in. But Texas City does have an offense that can put up some numbers. So I would expect a high shooting affair in that one, but nonetheless, I think it's going to be a pretty darn good game.
Yeah, Texas City won 3 of their last 4 ball games to finish 4-3 in the district. My goodness, how fun is it to hear his story and then watch him play on Friday nights?
Well, and if you think that he's going to do big things on the football field, I mean, imagine what this kid's going to do in life, because there are so many times where people look at you in a certain scenario and say, hey, you don't belong here, or you can't do this, or you're not capable of doing this because of XYZ reason. If you think that this doesn't translate to normal life for him one day, I mean, inspirational story. And let me tell you, too, from knowing Coach Houston personally, you want to talk about a guy that gets his program to buy in and wrap up a guy like that and say, heck yeah, brother, come on, you're one of us, let's go. I mean, it truly a cool story down there. Thanks for Austin for showing that one for us.
Yeah, Austin, great job, no doubt about it. We love hearing stories like that about. And before we get to this highlight, let's just set the scene just a little bit for you on this Taylor team. 2019, 0-10. 2020, 0-10. Last year, they slowly got this thing going in his first year as head coach, and now guess what? A chance to play for the postseason. Nobody thought this was coming.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, we talked to Coach Brandon Houston. He's a big player in organizing state 7-on-7 every year, so we get the opportunity to see him every June down in College Station. And we knew when he took this job, it's like, Coach, you've got a rebuild to do here. Like, you're not inheriting a program. Sometimes you inherit a program and the stage is set. You know, you just got to keep on keeping on. This is one where it's like, okay, hey, you've got to build on this program. And he goes, we just have to establish this culture and get our guys to buy in. And he's doing just that. 3-7
in his first year tonight, playing for a chance to punch a ticket to the postseason. Let's get you out to Taylor, shall we? Taylor Stadium, after a long delay, finally this one gets going, and the Bulldogs, oh, those tricky Bulldogs. The handoff, the throwback to the quarterback the other way. Grant Jones hauling it in for the score, and so there it is, 6-0. Burnett on top, the Bulldogs. Oh, check it out, Taylor just scored. Updating that live graphic for you, 6-6 in the first quarter, the Bulldogs and the Ducks. Where are we talking? Williamson County. There it is, first year of football, 1901, and their last playoff berth way back in 2018. Austin Ivan, live on your television, talking high school football. Austin, we know you are patient and you always deliver. And tonight you had to wait for this one. Talk us through what it was like, how long the delay was, how both teams handled it. Set the scene for us.
Yeah, CT, it was exactly a 2-hour delay. I was starting to ask people what the opposite of a rain dance was because everyone was getting anxious. They really wanted to come out here and play this game. We finally have got the clear skies, no more rain, no more lightning. So we are playing football, which is a great sign. Burnett, you guys just showed the highlights. They were the first ones to score, and we shouldn't be surprised by that play. Their quarterback, Grant Jones, with that trick play. He was their #1 receiver just 2 weeks ago, has to fill in now at the quarterback position. So we know he has great hands, and that's not a surprise. They were yelling on the sideline, let's set the tone in this game, and that's exactly what they did. That was a 4th down play too also.
Austin, we just got done watching your exceptional feature over Jarvis. You got to sit down and meet him and get to talk to him. I mean, he seems like a bright, bubbly guy. What does he bring to this Taylor team truly?
He truly brings so much. When I talked to Coach Houston about him this week, he went on and on and on for 5 minutes about his athletic ability, about what he brings to the team, and he never once mentioned to me that he was deaf. I had to ask him about that, but that just shows what type of player Jarvis is, what type of person he is. He doesn't want that to define him at all. And I thought it was really interesting. Last year when Jarvis came here, Coach Houston said on defense, we wanted him to be on the sideline closer to us so we could try to communicate with him, and they quickly realized he's our best defender. We're just going to put him on the other team's best player. It doesn't matter if he's on the sideline closest to us or not, because we can't afford to not have him on their other team's best player. That's just how good of a player he is, but he is a great person. It was so much fun getting to talk with him and his family, his brothers on the team. I didn't get to learn too much sign language, but the one thing I did learn is this, which is obviously touchdown, and that's what we're hoping to see from Jarvis tonight. Really great kid, and I was super excited to get to meet with him and share his story.
Austin, just a great story. Thanks again for bringing that to us. And guess what? There is good news. We are on the air live until 1 a.m. tonight, so you may not get a lot of sleep, but we'll get a lot of highlights from you and interviews as they roll in. You look at this game, you look at this matchup, it kicks off late. The teams are going to have to find their footing and find their energy, but what do you think really gives in this contest tonight?
Man, this is about to sound like coach speak, honestly. It's about to sound incredibly basic. Tonight is about who can focus on the fundamentals, because you've already got this pressure of both of these teams are not used to making the playoffs. This is a big deal. I mean, there are teams across the state that just getting to the by-district round is a huge deal to their program, and that's where both of these teams are right now. Historically, that's not what they're always been, and, you know, looking into the future, that's not where they're always going to be, but right now, the goal is to earn a playoff berth. So that pressure's there. Then you have a 2-hour rain, lightning, whatever crazy war on weather delay. Then it's about keeping your grounding. I think that the key is going to be whose offense can really start to gel early on. As you can see, it's a tie ball game right now. So who really starts to take that next thing? Eventually, it'll turn into the which defense can stop them the most. But I think right now it's about focusing on, guys, put everything else out. It's 9:49 p.m. Let's start this game and see what we can do. That playoff berth is right there. It's at the tip of your hands. Just don't let all the rest of the stuff get in your head, which is way easier said than done.
Truth be told, all the players want to do is get on the field and compete.
Let's
get
play
a
some
chance.
ball.
Let's punch a ticket to the postseason, if you will. And guess what? Here on Football Friday, we're basically your red zone channel for Texas high school football all across the Lone Star State. Back out to Taylor Stadium. And that's Grant Jones finding Garner Krause, and all he's going to do is walk in the end zone. That's a pass play. No good on the 2-point conversion there for Burnett. So the Bulldogs lead 12-6 in this one in the first quarter. Again, don't be confused. This one kicked off way late, as we've been talking about, but we will be bringing you highlights all night long as they roll in from this one, which is kind of fun because usually we get to this time of the night and games are shutting down and this one's just getting going. But you see this game and you see what Grant Jones brings to the table. Not only does he see the field so well and he has that kind of look at the line of scrimmage, like he knows exactly what the defense is doing and where he wants to go with the football, but he seems to be delivering the ball accurately. Seems like this delay, maybe the nerves that sat in your stomach are not affecting this Burnett team out of the gates.
Well, and it's crazy, and Burnett is sitting there going, oh my gosh, like this is great because Grant Jones isn't the starting quarterback. Their starting quarterback broke his collarbone 2 weeks ago. So this is wide receiver number 1, as Austin mentioned, having to switch over. Now, while that might seem like, okay, you're losing one player, but it's your best receiver, you're going to push him over. No, that's a domino effect at that point because you lose your best receiver. You got to move him over to quarterback. Then you're looking at, okay, who are we going to be able to throw the ball to? The fact that their wide receiver number 1 is dropping dimes like that, it looks like the rest of the receivers are stepping up to the plate. They recognize what they're going to have to do. This is big for a lot of different reasons, but the fact that Grant Jones is finding his groove, and more than that the receivers are finding their groove, good things going for that Burnett squad right now.
I got a gut feeling we might see the scoreboard light up in this one. Oh my goodness, it's fun to watch the Golden Bears play.
Man, it was a magical story, no doubt. And hey, we put them on the secondary cover of Dave Campbell's Texas Football for a reason, because we think they could do it again. But first, they have to win a district championship. Let's take you out to Forrester Field in Dallas, Texas. Them taking on the Woodrow Wilson Wildcats. There they are. God, those white uniforms are nice. We will start you off. Sock is driving. It is Danny Green on the handoff. He is pummeling his way through, but then he fumbles it. Hickendorn there for the recovery. Can he take it all the way? Oh my goodness, he will with ease. How about that start for the Wildcats? But those Sock Golden Bears, they don't go anywhere. Green responds, he gets the handoff. He's gonna finish that one. He's gonna take that one in. Sock up at the half, 10-7. Abby Jones is there with the head Golden Bear, Jason Todd.
All right, Coach, you're ahead by 3. You mentioned that you wanted to start Carter because of his precision and his ability to run. So what are you liking about your decision so far?
Well, we're not playing a good half as an offense right now. All the way from the coaching, all the way down to the kids. And I think we got to go ahead and regroup. I think that little delay kind of hurt us a little bit, but we got to go back there and make some adjustments at halftime.
3 kids ejected so far into the game. How are you going to calm the nerves in the locker room?
Some of them kind of questionable. The ejection was just like it was unspoken because they gave one to the whole team. So I think that was one thing right there. But, I mean, it's just stuff we got to go ahead at halftime, settle down, and we'll be fine.
Thanks, Coach.
Step
out.
No need to take that headset off, man. Just wear it right into that thing. Keep calling plays, getting your team ready to go and fired up. I love it. Coach is in the moment there, wasn't he? But you look at the South Oak Cliff team, and they just have playmakers. They have athletes all over the field, not afraid to play anybody. Once they finally found their footing this year, Ashley, what was the difference for them to turn the tide?
Well, Going back to the beginning of the season when they did suffer those 3 losses, you've got to remember those 3 losses were to top 10 ranked 6A programs. This is a program that after winning it last year said, we're going to test ourselves. We're going to test ourselves against the best of the best. I mean, when you go DeSoto, Lancaster, Duncanville, that's what you're going to get out of that. When they get into district play, being honest, the strength of schedule, it lightens a lot. But that's what made this one such an interesting matchup, because Woodrow Wilson is playing really, really good ball under John Fish. And this is straight up for a district title. And that's not something that we've seen Sauk have to face in a hot minute, to be really honest with you. Usually they can have their way with district, and then they're going to get into the playoffs and start making their run there, which presents its own challenge, because it's like, hey, we really haven't played tough competition in a hot minute. Guys, we've got to pick it up like now. So this is a really, really good thing for Sauk to get tested a little bit. But I think they found their footing and were really, like you said, were able to start making those plays happen on offense again. That's what we were lacking so much in those first couple of games. But they're also going up against some of the best defenses in the state.
Not afraid to play anybody. So you set the bar high. You challenge your team right out of the gate. We're just going to go after opponents. We're going to see what we're made of.